Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. So I'm so glad that I'm able to hang out with everybody here. So we have Mr. Steve Lang all the way from the UK. Great to see you, sir. And we have Jesus from the Atlanta area. Great to see you as well, sir. So starting out a little slow right now. That's okay. You know, like I always say, to people who are meant to be here will be here. So that's how I look at it. It's been a really hot day today. I'm telling you, it was rough. But we're doing okay. You know, it's like got the air conditioners on and not really working very good. Thank you so much, Steve. Steve says he's looking forward to it, and that's cool. And so looking forward to the live stream. I just got to make sure that I don't have anything creating a shadow on the artwork. So there you go, that's much better. So this is cool. So we do have this camera right over here. So we can just put our young lady over there, and maybe we can make this bigger so you all can see when I mix the colors. So today we're going to be painting and talking about brands. And you see in the beginning, you can see that I have Dakota Pastel's website. And it's a really good website because you can pretty much go through all the different brands of pastels, which is really fantastic. And I could talk about them because there's so many brands. When I started, you know, pastel painting many years ago, there was only 3 or 4 brands. Now it seems like there's so many. And so we'll go over that and which ones I like, which ones I hate, that sort of thing. Mike Deloach, how are you? Good to see you, sir. So glad you were here. So we have a good group already, which is very exciting. Let me just move things over so I'm comfortable, which is very important. Comfortable is kind of like a, you know, relative because of how hot it is here in Jersey today. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And so we're excited. We're going to talk about different brands of pastels, and we're going to work further on this painting of this beautiful young lady. Maybe work a little bit on the hair, areas that I might have neglected, right? So we want to keep everything going at the same. Hey, John Payne and Colette, great to see you both. I'm so glad you're here. John Payne from upstate New York and Colette from Wisconsin. So that is really wonderful. How'd you do today at the market? You have many sales, I hope, Mr. John? Okay, so we are going to make me small. Yeah, there you go. Move me over here. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to start working on this. Now, first thing is, I'm going to bring up my reference in Pure Ref. So I am looking for Pastel Live reference. There we go. Okay. So we are getting ready to go into this. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and darken her eyebrow on camera left. So as you can see, I'm just going to look and ask myself, is that really black, right? And I would say no, because it has a lot of kind of reddish, muddy red in there, right? Brown, red. So I'm just going to take these 2 colors right over here. And now I'm going to do this with the foam. So I'm going to make a foam triangle. Always have your scissors. It's a very important tool. And now you can see I can just move over here and I could start. Now I could ask myself, is it that dark? And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and go dark. We can always lighten it up later. I don't like how big this is, so I can just take my triangle and I can cut that in half. And now I have a nice point. And a dog barking in the background, which is always great. And just coming over here. Then over here towards the bottom. So even though you're painting the eyebrow, you know, it's very almost tempting to just go ahead and just darken the whole eyebrow, but no, it's much more complex than that. So we want to pay attention to the complexities. And before I go too detailed in that eyebrow, let's take a look at the eyebrow on camera right. And we can darken this up a little bit, but here it's more little linear aspects. Yes, funny thing is when you buy scissors, you to get to the scissors. That's funny. Yeah, that's true. You know, it's hilarious. And Mike Loach, does anyone else think Tim's palette resembles a gas constellation like we see in That's pretty fun. Yeah, they are quite artistic after I'm done with them, that's for sure. You know, every couple of months I go ahead and, you know, I have to, you know, replace the sandpaper and start afresh, but I miss all the designs that the palette makes inadvertently. And of course we're going to darken and everything, but let's look at her eye. So since we are working hard, let's go to the eye on camera left, and let's see if we can use this color to go into her eyes a little bit. And let's see. When someone asks Jesus how to say cake in English, he says pastellation. That's pretty hilarious. That's true, right? You know, they probably would love it. You know, I might be drawing out things that I could make money on, and I'm all for that. Let's blow up the eye so you can see my madness. And bam. Okay. Let's move this over. There we go. And now we'll just come in here. So when you're doing things like eyelashes, make sure that you're not equidistant and the same size. You have to vary it. If you don't, then it's going to look cartoonish. In nature, things are really, there's always you know, a little bit of randomness. Read Mike D's comment above. Let's see. Anyone else? Oh, yes. So the constellation part, I read that, and very cool, very cool. And Colette says very true, so that's cool. Loving the conversation, guys. And don't worry if it's too big or too little or too fat. You can always just come in and thin that out with the kneaded eraser. Come in with this same color into her iris. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of paper and put it over my pastel painting, because I don't want to, like I said, I'm working on a vertical surface, a horizontal surface, and so I don't want to, I want to rest my hand, but I don't want to put oils from my skin onto the surface there. Now, more important than anything else with eyelashes is to get the direction. You have to get the direction, because that will describe everything. And once again, if it's too thick, you can always just sort of thin that out, just like so. And come in and thin this out with the pastel, with the kneaded eraser. So one of the things that I always tell my students, it's so important, not so much how the painting comes out, but that the student has a real knowledge of the medium, right? Real knowledge of using different tools and going through those tools in quick succession as you need them. And that's a big part of becoming fluent in a medium. So I do have my airbrush, and I want to darken the white of the eye there. So all I have to do is come in with the detail mixture, and I can darken this. There we go. And let's see. JC says Tim's in the zone today. Oh yes, definitely, yes. So I see there's a little bit of a red fleshy color. So I'm going to use one of my older triangles. I'm going to come in with that red fleshy color. I already have it on my palette here, so no need to go ahead and remix. And we can put a little bit of the dark value right here. Okay. Now, whatever we do with one eye, we definitely have to do with the other. So let's move on over to camera right, and let's work on that eye. Okay, so we're going to go in and work on those eyelashes again with that same color, because they are the same. Now we can also use this edge here, which is really cool, and we can get like a a little more control by using this edge. And just follow the direction of those eyelashes. Very, very important. And always remember, we have the kneaded eraser to make things better. So let's try something different. Let's go ahead and go with a dark color. And let's try first this reddish color for the eyelashes. I know it's a reddish color, but bear with me. We're going to try something. Just make sure we get these angles. And now I'm going to glaze it with a darker color. And this color is just plain old black, but let's glaze over this red here, and then we get the color we want. Okay, so now we have blacks. I always stick with whatever color I have. See where I can use that effectively. Sort of bring this over. Okay, and let's clean this up. So, Pastel Pencils, I use 2 brands. So let's move into the whole demonstration and talk about different brands of pastel. So here at Dakota Pastel, you can buy them anywhere, but Dakota Pastel is really good because they have basically every brand available. So when you go to Pastel Pencils, the ones I use primarily are the Faber Castell, and I'll show you all right here, and the Pit Pastel by Faber Castell. And are you guys able to hear me even though I'm in the website? Let me know if you still can hear me. Hey, Mr. Roy, how you doing? So glad you're back, sir. That is great. And so let's go here. So this is the Faber Castell. I like getting the sets. And so the 24 set is not going to be effective. I really recommend getting the 60 piece. So that would be good. Get the 60, and that would be that's their full set. So it's 2 trays, and then you could just go ahead and add on to that. You know, you could always add on to that, which is really good. So that's cool. So if we go back here, go to Pastel Pencils, and oh, thanks. The sound is good. So let's see, Faber Castell. Now, Colette did this, and this was really cool. You can actually buy the individual colors. So I recommend that because, you know, if you study with me, there's going to be certain colors that you're going to be using more than others, right? So this is really cool. They're $2.80 a pop. That's not too bad, actually. That's actually a good rate. Plus the fact is, it's kind of like a one-stop shopping. Okay, so when I go into, so that's what I'll talk about now. So there's another, there's one more set that I do like in the pencils, and that is Cretacolor. Cretacolor, their colors are amazing, and they're very inexpensive, and I give these 2 thumbs up. So you don't want to get the 12, you don't want to get the 24, you want to get the 72 piece. And let's take a look. That is a great set, great colors. I can't talk enough about it. Look at those beautiful colors, they make me happy. And so I would get that. No need to buy individual colors with this. And so those two sets, if you get them, you are set with pastel pencils. Lately I have a resurgence in pastel pencils. I think they're just amazing. So let's go ahead back to our painting, and we go a little further. We'll talk more about different brands and, you know, why I like them. Okay, so back to the painting. Now, if you see any color that you don't want, like right there, not sure how it got there, just tap it with the knead eraser. Don't blend it in, because then it's going to muddy up your color. Even if it's just a little bit, it's going to have an effect, and you don't want that. And so thank you, Steve, and everybody, about the sound. I appreciate that. Which would I buy first? I would definitely buy the Pitt Pastel first. No. If I was going to buy one or the other, I would pick the credit color, because you get 72. So definitely the credit color would definitely be the ones to get. So great question there, Mr. Steve. Okay, so we were working on her eye, and I think I wanted to go ahead and clean up this little line here. So you'll see now that I go back and forth with pastel pencils, because they're great tools. Why not? So I want this value to be close and warm, so I'm going to use this wonderful pastel pencil. And again, this is a credit color, which I love so much. Pitt and credit color, I love them both the same, except credit color is less expensive. And there's something else I'll go over later on why credit color is so great. I'm just going to very lightly kind of dust here. Put some light affecting this. Now, it's not, the pastel pencil doesn't work well for everything, so I need to put a kind of light fleshy color. So I'm going to come over here, and we're going to go ahead and darken this light area right here. Little darker, right? Tim, it needs to be darker. Okay. Let's see. Just darken that up. Calm that down. Calmate, Timoteo, right? That's what I have to do. And let's work on too much light on the above the eye. So let's kind of calm this down a little bit. Over here, some richer orange. So you notice when I get a color, I kind of look all around to see where I can use that color while I'm at it, you know? So this week I'm going to be putting up my my boards, and I'm going to be selling them. So, you know, those who are on my mailing list, I'll let you know. I'll send you a link when I have it on my Painted Glyphs website. Because all pastel stuff is going to be sold on Painted Glyphs. All my airbrush stuff, of course, is going to be on ink flingers. I'm going to clean up this eyebrow here. Clean up the edge. And we can zoom out, and we can see those eyes are looking a little bit more detailed. And so that is always fun when things start coming together. Maybe even come in with this eraser, kind of get rid of some of that, those kind of weird edges. Oh, yeah, so you dealt with a lot of Spanish people back in the day, sir? Sí, yo estoy aprendiendo la lengua y yo tengo muchos amigos hispanos y yo vivo en New Jersey, muy cerca de Nueva York. Hay muchos hispanos, colombianos, mexicanos, puertorriqueños. Me encanta la lengua, me encantan las mujeres hispanas. Oh, some people are like that, right, Mr. Deloach? Some people get offended, but I understand. Get offended when it's like sometimes when I see a Spanish person and I'll be like, "Hola, cómo estás?" and they'll be like, "I speak English," and I was like, "No, I wasn't saying that you didn't speak English. I felt more comfortable speaking Spanish because I always want to learn." Yeah, but sometimes people get offended. I understand that, but I just love I love the language and everything in the culture. It's true, with Spanish we need to, or any language, we need to practice as much as possible. I don't practice as much as I used to, but I do watch Spanish TV, and once in a while I'll read like Spanish articles and stuff like that, articles in Spanish, because I don't want to lose it. And so we have a little yellow action happening. I'm going to bring some of this warm color in here just to combat this. Just glaze over it. Just smooth things out here and there. And then I'm going to get another triangle. I'm going to start putting in some of these brighter lights here. It's that was one of the best things I've done, which learn different languages, because it helped me to make more friends and helped me to understand English better because of the similarities and differences, and it gave me a love for languages. I do love different languages a lot. Okay, so now let's work on the lower eyelids and the eyelashes on the lower eyelids, and I'm going to do that with the airbrush. So it's going to be quite interesting. And remember, I'm not your everyday pastel painter. I do things that other pastel painters would not do, and that's their fault. Okay, so now we're going to... So I have the detail mixture of my India ink mixtures in here, and now I'm going to work on some of these eyelashes. And it's important to get the direction. I'm just going to get like an indication that these are there. And while I'm here, let's go ahead and darken up the iris a little bit. Put a little detail in here. Anything that's going to help my painting, I'm all for it. Okay, so we worked on this side. Let's see if I could work on the outside of this iris. And we have little, let's see if these little hairs we can do. Now this is a very diluted ink in here. It's the detail mixture, so it might not be taking it as much as I want, but I can get some little subtleties there. And now if I zoom out, actually no, let's go to the other eye and work on the lower eyelid there. And this is the light side, so you see how the detail mixture is showing up a lot easier on this side. One second rule, just like I talk about, and ink clingers. But look how beautiful and subtle I'm able to get here. Okay, so we go ahead and zoom out, and we can see now those eyes are getting a little more powerful, right? I'm loving it. Just like McDonald's. I'm loving it. My nose itches. Okay. Alright, so I'm really happy with that, how it came out. I'll be right back, just 10 seconds. Really loving the way the colors are looking on the live stream, so that's nice. And alright, so now we're here, and it's great that I'm putting this because I'm keeping my hand from dirtying it, but I am repositioning pastel, so that's sort of a bad thing as well. So okay, so we worked over there, and that's really good. And okay, so what would be the next? So let's go back to our, what's the best brands in pastel portion of the live stream. So I always go from hard to soft, right? So my next hard pastel would be a really great brand, and they're very expensive. So those are two things that I love. I love that it's inexpensive, and I love that it's a great brand. So I'm going to go to pastels, and I'm going to look for Cretacolor again. And hopefully they have them. They would be under hard pastel, which there really is no designation. When a store says this is a hard pastel and this is a soft pastel, it's the same thing. The only difference you would see is when you have a hard pastel and, let's say, a soft pastel or an oil pastel. Those are two different worlds. You never want to mix them. But as far as, there's no such thing as hard pastel and soft pastel. Everything is pretty much considered soft pastel. Okay, so now I'm going back to credit color, and these are great, and I'll show you the set. See how they're nice and square? And what's really good is that the colors, the 72-piece set, match absolutely perfect the 72-piece set of the Pastel Pencils. And look at the price, $89.95. So if you have these along with the Pastel Pencils, how amazing is that? I mean, that's a good place to start. So definitely write that down. Credit color Carré 72 full set. I must have purchased about 5 or 6 of these sets over the years, because you use them so much. They're great. You can use them in the beginning of your painting, at the end of the painting. You can sharpen them. They're fantastic. Let me show you one of them so you can see what it looks like. I'm just going to come over here. So this would be your pastel credit color. See how they're little squares? They're nice and hard, and they're good to use in the beginning, because when you paint with this in the beginning, you can do layers over it no problem. If you were to come in with a very soft pastel in the beginning, when you want to put other layers on it, it won't take. So that's why you want to work from your harder soft pastels and gradually go to your real soft pastels, like something like a Sennelier or a Schminke. So okay, so one more brand before we go back into the demonstration. So the next brand, which really is a workhorse, and I really think it's important, is this brand right here. And this is Rembrandt. And why do I like Rembrandts in the early going? Because they're softer than the Pastel Carré by Credit Color, and they're really fairly inexpensive compared to other brands. So let's go back to the website. And so we're going to come up here. Oh, okay. We'll go this way. We'll go to Pastels and Rembrandt. And what's cool about Rembrandt, they're one of the first brands. So when I started doing pastel back at the National Academy School of Fine Arts, I bought a 90-piece portrait set, and I still have pastels from then. They should be in the Smithsonian Institution, I think, right now. So we're going to look for pastels, and then we're going to look for Rembrandt. Where are you, Rembrandt? Do they know? Okay, here we go. And so right here is the Rembrandt, and I like the 90-piece portrait. So you go here to Rembrandt sets, and you don't want to get the smaller piece, so there's 90 pieces sorted. Now here's a good value. Let's say you don't have, so here's a 90-piece portrait. It's now $2.99, but when you're doing portraits, that's it. You don't have to buy any for a very long time. But let's say you don't have the money, right? That happens to me, happens to everybody, right? So let me see if I go back. Okay, so here I am. What you could do with any brand, your more expensive brands, not the Credit Color or anything, you can get half sticks, and they're really good. It's very inexpensive. See, only $1.59. And what separates this from the regular, of course, is they're smaller. They don't have the paper covering, but it's a great value if you don't have the money. So those are so right now, if you just had those 3 brands, the Pitt Pastels, the Pitt Pastel Pencil set, and you had, let's say, the Credit Color Pastel Pencil set and the Pastel Carré, and then you had the Rembrandt, you can do full-blown pastel paintings. As you get more money and you birthdays, everything, Christmas, what have you, Hanukkah, you can actually build up by getting different brands. But you don't want to go willy-nilly and get any brand. That's what I'm here for. to help you get the brands that are going to be best for you. Okay, so let's go back to our painting, and we'll go back to a few more brands. And any questions, just let me know. And let's see. Steve says he's trying to screenshot it, but his internet is playing tricks again, and he missed the last 5 minutes. I'll watch it again tomorrow. Yes, and tomorrow we're going to have a class, Steve, and I'll definitely make sure we go over that again. So that's cool. And so, all right, so let's close this out here. Okay, back to our painting. So I'm going to work on her hair. And so you can see that this is a little bit darker. And this is where the airbrush could come in. I could kind of calm this down a little bit with the airbrush. It has no effect on the pastel, doesn't change anything about it, but what it does, it will darken the values and colors that are there. So it's a great advantage. I think if any pastel painter knew airbrush, they would definitely be doing these techniques because it's a no-brainer. It's just so effective. Just going to come over here, and 1 second rule, don't willy-nilly darken them, just, you know, darken while doing the 1 second rule. Bringing all of this, calming it down. Cálmate, mijo. Tranquilo. And all this is doing is just tinting the pastel on the surface now. I think that's pretty cool. Now you don't want to go too dark because, I mean, you don't want to saturate it too much because then the ink will kind of sit on the surface and stain the work. So you have to be careful. Always, subtlety is always so important, you know? Oh, wow, yes. So it is rough, you know, with when the internet is working slow. We're so dependent on it, aren't we? I mean, it's such a big part of our lives. And when it goes down, it's like, no! I'm just going to darken underneath her chin and her jawline just a little bit. And I'll do that with the airbrush, and let's calm this down. Over here, this is a job for packing peanuts because it's so broken up. So I'm just going to get a packing peanut. I'm just going to calm that down. There we go. Now, I did see on her ear early last week that I did kind of go over the contour. So I'm going to try and tap away the little bit of black there. And this is good for you all to see. Now it looks like that was ink. So that's a job for pastel then. So let's come in with this here. And look how forgiving pastel is. I mean, it's the most forgiving medium in the history of the world, besides digital. So that's, got to put digital in the mix. That is super forgiving. Control Z, right? How many people wish they had Control Z in their life, in their real life? Put some of this nice warmth over here. We're going to put it down and then I'm going to blend it out. And you'll notice that it's all layering and, you know, just seeing, and when you see it, you put it down. Okay, so let's see if we can work on our hair a little bit. So let's go get a packing, not a packing peanut, but one of the foam. And if it's black, I like using it again, right? No reason to reuse another one, because it's so, you know, these aren't unlimited here. Yeah, nothing like pen and paper, right? I'm like that myself. I got all kinds of notes and everything everywhere. So what I'm going to do, you can move your painting around, there's no problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this edge here. Kind of make it more beautiful. Pastels takes a little bit longer because it takes a while to go ahead and work on your edges and get the layers down. So in one aspect it's faster. I think it evens out because you don't have to wait for drying or anything like that. So kind of evens out, but you do have a lot more fixing the edges than you would, let's say, a color airbrush painting. I'm just going to work on this edge here. So I'm going to make some boards. Is there anyone out there who would be interested? You know, this is not a commitment or anything, but anyone out there who would be interested in purchasing one of these boards with my marble dust mixture and the gesso? It's perfect for pastel and for airbrush, and both. This way I know how many to make. But like I said, if you say yes, you're not obligated, so don't worry about that. Okay. Sometimes I use these as blenders as well, as you can see, because black's already there, and I can just kind of solidly. So I'm really enjoying this pastel live stream. Totally different than the airbrush live streams. It's a whole different vibe, right? What do you all think? Is this a whole different vibe from the Wednesday nights? Let's load this up. Get some more black. I'm going to work on the background off camera. No one needs to see me working on the background. It's boring. Since I'm here, let's go ahead and put in some of these darks on her eyebrow. Oh, great. So Roy and John and Colette, that's cool. So, and Steve, that is fantastic. And oh, Colette's paying for everyone? Oh my goodness, that's funny. I'm gonna make hundreds. And here you see, we can still see the gray of the underpainting. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And I'm going to go and use the foam. And let's see how that works. See how the foam, we could sort of glaze over it. The foam and also the foam core, they both have their place. So now you can see I'm working on her scalp area. Always paying attention to the 1 second rule. Little richer red right underneath her hair, on her hairline. So we're going to get, that's a job for the foam core, I mean the regular foam. We're going to come over here, get a real rich kind of red here. Maybe exaggerate a little bit. And of course I'll move this around. And take your time, you know, I mean, you don't want to rush it. Even if you're doing a commission, don't rush it, because if you rush it, your client's not going to be all that thrilled. So you can explain to them that it's going to take longer, but explain to them why it's going to take longer, right? Let's take a look. Yeah, see, that's starting to give some nice depth to her. And then we can come in with a lighter kind of fleshy color here, kind of soften that up. Okay, that leads us to the next pastel, Tim's favorite pastels. So this is my main pastel. Every pastel painter has a main pastel. My main pastel is a set by a company called Holbein, named after Hans Holbein the Younger, the famous 16th century portrait painter who was the portrait painter of King Henry VIII. And let me show you what they look like. This right here, and they're like short squares, and they are quite amazing. And those are Holbeins, and they're softer than Rembrandt. They have a really nice saturation. When you put them on your surface, They really, they have much more vibrant color than the Rembrandt. So I love this along with it. Now these are also relatively inexpensive brand. So we're going to go back to Dakota Pastel. And let me move her over here. Okay, so we're going to come up here. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Let's go back. So Holbein. I love Holbein. That's my favorite brand in the world. And because those are the colors that basically I use in the beginning and I use in the end. I mix with harder pastels and I mix with softer pastels. So let's go back to pastels. I'm going to look for Holbein. Again, these people are calling it medium pastels. Don't listen to any of that. They're just soft pastels with different grades. Do not listen to Dakota Pastels. I've been painting in pastels longer than they've been around. So definitely listen to me. So here they are. They're really fantastic. Even though they're Holbeins and it's a German artist they're named after, it's a Japanese company. Who would have thought? So let's go to our set. The set you want to get is the 72 piece. And right here, the 72 piece is sorted. That's good to start. You don't want to get the 144 unless you have the money. If you do, God bless you, get it. But let's take a look at it. Look how beautiful. Those are so beautiful. The colors are even more beautiful in person. They're not too soft, right? And they're definitely not hard. And they have better coverage than your Rembrandts. And of course, the credit color, the Pastel Pencils. So as I'm going for each brand, they're getting softer and softer. And each brand you can do a layer, many layers over the subsequent or earlier brand, right? Previous brand. So these are amazing. So the Holbein. Do not get, there's so many brands out there, but they're just fleecing you. And I'm sorry to say, you know, this works. I mean, I can't even tell you how many pastel paintings I've done, and over the years, these are the brands that I've come to know and love. I love them because they work for me. So right now we're at 9 o'clock, so let's go ahead and let's do one more brand I like. Okay, we're going to go back to our pastels. So we're going a little softer at this point. So I do like Art Spectrum, but that's something you get, you know, you would buy them piecemeal. You know, if you're at a art store or something, you would get these Art Spectrums. They're pretty much the same exact as Holbein, but they do have a different kind of feel to them. They're a little richer in saturation, and they're really great for earth tones. So for earth tones, I really recommend these Art Spectrums. They have this set here, and let's see, Autumn Brown. So I think this is the set. If you're going to get one, something like this would be fantastic to get. It's only $26.95, and you get a set of 6. And let's see another one. There was one that has like, this is really good. Right here, it's an Art Spectrum Darks. And if anyone has painted in pastel, you need rich darks. And look at this. So I would get the smaller sets of Art Spectrum. I think they would work very well for you, and they're very inexpensive. So and then build on Art Spectrum. Get different colors. Get the Naples yellow, get the yellow ochre, get the raw sienna, and play with it and see how you like it. The main brands are the ones I told you. Those are the only ones I get main brands. But there's one more at the very end, and this brand, oh man, I got to get rid of this person. Oh, what a jerk. Okay. Okay, and we're going to get rid of them again. Sorry guys for this. It looks like they were waiting for me to get distracted. Wow. Oh my God. So I'm just going to be removing these. Okay, I think they're gone. Yes, thank you. Let's definitely report this person. Like I said, you can be the nicest person and you could have enemies. And this is a shame because, you know, this keeps me from giving you guys important information. And kind of puts a damper on things. I mean, how many of these are there? Okay, I think they're gone. And I'm just, thank you everybody for reporting this, Cabron. And I do say Cabron with a very capital C, Cabron. And so I do apologize for that. And like I said, I know I have some enemies out there who are doing stuff like that. And that's just a shame. Okay, so once again, so Art Spectrum is a really good brand to the thing is, Art Spectrum is a really good brand to build on your pastel repertoire or your, you know, your supplies. Now, this is what I really like, and you take your time with this. You don't got to get this right away, but you build on it. I'm going to go back to pastels, and a brand that I love is Sennelier. They've been around since like hundreds of years, and the tradition is really fantastic. You're not going to be able, most people are not going to be able to afford a full set of the Sennelier. Let's take a look at the full sets and I'll explain or illustrate. So let's say, so yeah, your 100-piece portrait sets goes up to $300. Not as expensive as I thought, so the prices seem to be stabilizing. But let's say if you got their full 525-piece set is $1,400. You know, it's great. You know, I love the brand and you will use them, but the thing is with Sennelier, they're super soft. I mean, almost creamy. But the thing is, you don't use them as much because you only use them at the end. Because you're not going to use them in the beginning or the middle. They're so soft you won't be able to put a layer over them. But if you were to purchase some Sennelier sets, right, I would pick their half piece set, right, or half sticks. So let's see. They have a 30-piece half stick set for only $55. That's really good. The 40-piece right here, this is nice. This would be good because, like I said, you're only using this at the very end of your pastel painting, right? Because, let me show you a Sennelier and how it works, right? Let me get one of them. Let's see. Are they over here? Yeah, I have a lot of Senneliers. So here's a Sennelier gray, right? And I'm going to use a similar gray with another brand. And this brand is Winsor & Newton. So, whoa, oh my God. Almost, let me come over here. Okay, so the senneliers are so, it just broke right on my painting. Let me show you. But it's nothing we can't fix. So let me show. So it broke right on my painting, and you see how that's right there. So remember, you want to tap it off. You don't want to go ahead and kind of blend that in, because that will dull all of your layers. So you see, I'm just going to tap that up. I really hope that person who sent those X-rated links, I hope they have a great weekend. God bless them. I really do. I really wish them a good weekend. They felt the need to come here and try and ruin my live stream, which is really horrifying, you know? And so thanks, Mike, and everybody for reporting that. So, okay, so again, we had the two different brands, right? And remember, Sennelier is very, very soft. So here is the first brand, and we'll do with this one. This is New Pastel. So if you see, if I'm going to lay that in, you can see that it shows up. Let's blow it up. So you can see that this kind of shows up right here. But look at the difference when I use the Sennelier. See how much creamier it is? And so you can see that also, if you were to blend this in, it's much more powerful than the other brand. So I'll just go ahead and blend this brand in, and you can see how that kind of assimilates much quicker. But the Sennelier, look how that's, see how that spreads? Because it's a lot more pastel, because it's softer. But the only time I would use Sennelier would be at the very end, because it's harder to put layers on top of it. So right there, if you got just those sets, you would be set for years. But you're always going to be growing and you know, getting new additions to your paintings and everything like that, which is really good. Yeah, Control Z. It doesn't work in real life, unfortunately, Mike. Right? Oh my God. If only it did. I love digital art, though. Me and Patrick were working on digital this afternoon, and it was just a lot of fun. Just the possibilities of what you can do, how it applies to just every aspect of your art. So I highly recommend that. Oh, one thing I want to show you all. Last week I found a new hot sauce. This is fantastic. It's called Tiger Sauce. Have you ever tried it? It's kind of like an Asian kind of sweet chili sauce. It has a little bit of heat, but then again, I have tolerance. But if you want to try something really tasty to put on your rice, to put on your fish, or anything like that, this is really good stuff. Just kind of offbeat kind of topic there. Okay. So let's continue, and let's see, where are we going to work? Let's work down on her neck again, and we're just going to put some of this orange colors over here. Let me bring back my reference. Whoa, here we go. And let's bring in some of that gray. Not the Sennelier, of course. It's too powerful. So let's see. We have Winsor & Newton, so let's use Winsor & Newton. That's a nice gray. And We'll add a little bit of a fleshy color to that. See how this looks. Could be a little more transparent. Say a little more transparency to this. There we go. Now, if you want a real transparent feel, then I would go with the foam core at that point. See how that's more transparent? And let's see where else we can add some transparent grays here and there. And we'll come over here. Hey Brad, how you doing? Good to see you, sir. And see how each thing, the foam and the foam core, have their places, right? And then I could pretty much don't reload and kind of spread what's remainder on there to kind of calm down the flesh color with this kind of transparent gray. We can bring this transparent gray down here. Here as well. Kind of infuse some life into the painting. And thank you everyone for hanging out today. I really appreciate it, guys and girls. If you haven't subscribed, I really recommend subscribing. I give airbrush tutorials and also tutorials, of course, in pastel, and it's a great channel. So if you go ahead and subscribe, do that, and also hit the bell icon, and this way you will be alerted when new live streams come. If you want to be part of my live stream mailing list, just go ahead in the comments right there and put in your email address. This way when I send out a new video, you're going to get an email when one's coming and you won't miss it. Or you'll know to watch it. I leave it on my website. So you'll see these live streams on my website, which is really cool. inkflingers.com. I definitely can take some of this nice gray color and kind of calm down some of the saturation here. Make it look a lot more realistic. It's a lot of saturating, calming it down, saturating, calming it down, and you'll eventually find your sweet spot. So I'm going to stay on till 9:30 tonight, which is cool. The 2 hours are reserved for the Wednesday nights. This gray is really cool, but I'm going to switch on over to the foam because I want to have a nice coverage here. Bring down her sideburns. She has sideburns. Not really, it's just... Is that a sideburn? She's too cute to have sideburns. I love this gray because I'm seeing all these places where I can put it in. If you look at the work of, let's say, someone like William Bouguereau, you'll see how important grays are when painting realism in portraits. Grays are everywhere. So definitely try that hot sauce and let me know what you think. Got a little cleft. I think that's what it's called. Alright, let's go ahead and kind of smooth this area up. So I'm going to get a fresh triangle. Let's get my scissors. Where are my scissors? My Kingdom 4 pair of scissors. There they are. Okay. And I'm just going to come in here and let's blend this out. So you see, when I want to really cover, I'm going to use the regular foam because I could deposit a lot more pastel that way. Ah, thank you. Mr. Steve says that he loves the way this painting is coming. Thank you. And he likes her eyes. I appreciate that so much, sir. It's just so many layers that we put on. And let's go ahead and... So there are going to be times, of course, you see where I run out of pastel. And so on the palette, so I just have to put more paint on there. Pastel. What's the difference, right? Let's see here. Just gonna lighten this up a little bit. No blue shift. So blue shift is something that you don't have to deal with. And if you ask me, that's amazing. So when you're working in pastel, you're doing layer upon layer. And you're going from the credit color all the way to the sennelier, but you're doing that slowly. So not only am I, you're not necessarily working from light to dark. You have a freedom that you don't have but in other brands. But you definitely are working from harder pastel to soft. There's only soft pastels. No such thing as hard pastel. There's hard pastel and there's soft pastel and oil pastel. But hard and medium pastel, that's just a company getting stupid. Just know your brands. And now you have me to help you. So that's good. And I'm just going to load, just come in here, kind of speed up the process sometimes. Sometimes you just might do that. Just might speed up the process. And then we can come in with our packing peanuts. So it's knowing your tools and going back and forth with the tools, right? That's key. Right here in the center, we have a nice bright light here. Oh, thanks, Colette. I appreciate that so much. Okay. Packing peanuts are inexpensive, so you can just throw them away. And so again, I'm going to calm this down. This is way too light, so I'm just going to come in with my airbrush and calm that down. So senneliers are good, but there's another brand which I didn't mention is Schmincke. They're also very expensive. Same thing. I don't know if Schmincke has I believe they're from Czechoslovakia. They're a really great brand. I like them, but that's a brand that you would definitely get a couple here and there, build it up, see if you like them, use them a lot if you do like them. So if you notice, there's no big changes happening as I paint, but they're gradual changes. And you want to arrive at the finish of your painting. You don't want to go down and finish everything. You want to basically create the ensemble. Make it feel like it was painted in one breath, even though it wasn't, over several hours. Some of my pastel paintings are about 30 hours long. That's okay, because I like the way it looks at the end. Look at this, freehand shield action in pastel. Who would have thunk it? Perpendicular and not parallel. There we go. So now we kind of reinforce. Work on her ear. Okay, so we are at 9:27, just a few minutes left. I just want to thank everyone in advance for hanging out and reporting that person who was so rudely, putting that stuff on my website, on my live stream. That was horrible. Steve says, another brilliant live stream. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. And no, I really appreciate it. And so I'm excited about today's live stream. I think we covered a lot, and I was able to share all those years of experiences with different brands and what brands to get. Follow that and you won't be sorry. Trust me. You can get a brand that is just going to be horrible, and you want to know when to use the brands, right? Not just that. And so here we are, and let me calm this down here. We can always go lighter. Remember, in pastel you can always go lighter. So there we are. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. So it's 9:28. So thanks, Colette, for hanging out. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everything. So what I'm going to do during the week, I'm going to put the pastel boards on my store on paintedglyphs.com, and I'll send out an email to everyone. If you have any questions when you have it, let me know. I'm going to make them before I put them on the website, so this way I can ship them out rather quickly. You will love this surface. Notice that I have not had any problem with putting pastel on the surface. But if you use pastel paper or pastel boards that they sell in the stores, I would have ran out of surface. So I would have had to have sprayed this with a fixative. But this board has been handed down from generation to generation of master artists. So Harvey Dinnerstein was my master and my mentor, and then from him it was Moses Sawyer, from Moses Sawyer all the way down to like past the Impressionists into the Neoclassicists. I mean, way back. So this is tradition. So you're not going to get this anywhere else. So I'm really happy that I'm able to share that with you. And I'll also let you know if you purchase it what the formula is. Okay? So thanks, guys, and thank you so much, Mr. John. I appreciate it. And you guys are all cool. And Roy, welcome back. And thanks, Mr. Deloach, and everybody, Brad, for hanging out. I hope to see you guys real soon. Take